Let's start clapping. Welcome Kunal Kamra.
Hello. Okay, now we're gonna come to the last part of the workshop. It's just how to close a show. But these two comedians and what they do is something that I also want to watch again as an audience. I've seen it maybe 1,000 times, but I feel like watching it again. So let's go to the two greats, starting with Bill Hicks, leading us back to Doug Stanhope. Hope you guys enjoy this section. Let's see how to end the show.
Why is marijuana against the law? It grows naturally upon our planet. Doesn't the idea of making nature against the law seem to you a bit paranoid? You know what I mean? It's nature. How do you make nature against the fucking law? Grows everywhere, serves 1,000 different functions, all of them positive. To make marijuana against the law is like saying God made a mistake. You know what I mean? It's like God on the seventh day looked down at his creation. There it is, my creation, perfect and holy in all ways. Now I can rest. Oh my me. I left fucking pot everywhere. I should never have smoked that joint on the third day. That was the day I created possums. Still gives me a chuckle. If I leave pot everywhere, that's going to give humans the impression they're supposed to use it. Now I have to create Republicans. And God wept. I believe it's the next verse. You know what I mean? I believe that God left certain drugs growing naturally upon our planet to help speed up and facilitate our evolution. Okay, not the most popular idea ever expressed. Either that or you're real high and agreeing with me in the only way you can right now. I forgot the code. Is it 2 blinks yes, 1 blink no? Do you think magic mushrooms growing atop cow shit was an accident? Where do you think the phrase, that's good shit, came from? Why do you think Hindus think cows are holy? Holy shit. Why do I think McDonald's is the Antichrist? That's God's little accelerator pad for our evolution. Just think about this, man. For billions of years, sorry, fundamentalists, we were nothing but apes. Probably too stupid to catch a cow, you know? I think we can go to the moon. exactly how it fucking happened. You know what I mean, though? Am I the only one that's fucking lost here? You never see positive drug stories on the news, do you? Isn't that weird? Since most of the experiences I've had on drugs were real fucking positive. Who are these morons they're finding? That's what I want to know. I used to want to call the news. Come over to our house. Watch Tommy. He's a pig. Film him. He's been doing that for hours. He's killing us. You getting all that? You know what I mean? Always that same LSD story, you've all seen it. Young man on acid thought he could fly, jumped out of a building. What a tragedy. What a dick. Fuck him. He's an idiot. If he thought he could fly, why didn't he take off from the ground first? Check it out. You don't see ducks lined up to catch elevators to fly south. They fly from the ground, you moron. Quit ruining for everybody. He's a moron. He's dead. Good. We lost a moron. Fucking celebrate. Wow, I just felt the world get lighter. We lost a moron. Put on the Hammer album. I'm ready to dance. We lost a moron. I don't mean to sound cold or cruel or vicious, but I am, so that's the way it comes out. Professional help is being sought. How about a positive LSD story? Wouldn't that be newsworthy just once? To base your decision on information rather than scare tactics and superstitions and lies? I think it would be newsworthy. Today, a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There's no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imagination of ourselves. Here's Tom with the weather. You've been fantastic, and I hope you enjoyed it. There is a point. Is there a point to all this? Let's find a point. Is there a point to my act? I would say there is. I have to. The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride, and we kill those people. Shut him up. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him up. Look at my furrows of worry. Look at my big bank account and my family. This has to be real. It's just a ride. But we always kill those good guys who try and tell us that. You ever notice that? And let the demons run amok? But it doesn't matter because it's just a ride. We can change it anytime we want. It's only a choice. No effort, no work, no job, no savings of money. A choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to put bigger locks on your door, buy guns, close yourself off. The eyes of love instead see all of us as one. Here's what we can do to change the world right now to a better ride. Take all that money we spend on weapons and defense each year and instead spend it feeding, clothing, and educating the poor of the world, which it would many times over, not one human being excluded, and we can explore space together, both inner and outer, forever in peace. Thank you very much. You've been great. I hope you enjoyed it. London, you're fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to have a great closing bit for my career. Like, once I find that bit, I can stop yelling about stuff and slink off. I don't care if I have to fucking whatever for a living.
We love you anyway. Who are we gonna kill?
Who do you have to kill? No, the closing bit Last year at SeaWorld, a killer whale leapt out of the tank and grabbed its trainer by the head and pulled her underwater and ate her at the end of a live performance. I don't know that it was the scheduled end of the show. But on that night, they decided to close on it. It leapt up, grabbed her ponytail, pulled her underwater, and chewed on her for quite some time. Because it's a fucking killer whale. You can't give it the hook like it's vaudeville. Like, no. They had to let it go. And I read that story with such palpable envy. Because that's everything I want to bring to stage. That story, like if I could find some parallel closing bit, I would never do comedy again. Because that's everything I want to present to an audience. It's inherently hilarious, but it's got a sense of horror, and it's just a horrifying, but there's an unmistakable message and justice within because first of all, you're not a killer whale trainer. You can call yourself and dress up in the spandex like a killer whale. You're not a killer whale trainer because from my limited knowledge of marine biology, killer whales come out previously trained. They're already perfect killer whales unless you're trying to train them to do backflips for fucking sardines and to dance on their tails, which they don't do naturally. You're training them to be fucking circus monkeys, and by withholding a food source, you're not a trainer, you're a fuckwither. You fuck with killer whales. That's what you do. You take away their food until they do unnatural acts, and then you call yourself you can say, oh no, she did a lot of hard work, and the research they did because of the SeaWorld, she could follow their mating habits and help them proliferate in the wild when they're a dwindling species, and you go, yeah, you could do that regardless without making them dance on their tails because they're starving for a fucking fish. You could have done it without fucking with them. So don't tell me they did a lot of good work because you could have done that without the fuck with them. That's like if I went to Somalia right now, worst drought in 60 years, I picked up a dozen kids that were starving to death and brought them over here to help them. But first, I paraded them out on stage for a matinee show and drug a wiener on a string till they jumped through a series of burning hoops. And then at the end, I made them present and stand and jump on their tippy toes to get the hot dog. And they go, how? Ta-da! You wouldn't call me a trainer. You'd call me an asshole, and you would clap and applaud wildly when they turned on me and ate my head in front of a fucking sold-out show. And that's everything I'm jealous of when I find that in the closing bit, because that's a serious closer. That's a closer because anyone who was at that live performance will never be able to enjoy live entertainment again. Nothing will ever top what they saw, and no one can ever top their story. I was at Monterey when fucking Hendrix lit his guitar on fire, and he was on acid, and I was on acid, and everyone was on acid. Oh yeah? Yeah. I was at SeaWorld. I was at SeaWorld last February, where I watched a killer whale chew on its trainer's head in front of a glass in front of screaming children with their parents trying to cover their eyes, recoiling in horror, heading for the exits, but still having to stop and watch for over 35 minutes. So, yeah, no, I don't want to go see your friend Danny play flamenco guitar at the VIP lounge. I gotta go, I'll be...
Those are my two favorite closing bits. And they are unachievable. Even for a comedian who does 30 years of stand-up. They can't do what Hicks does in 1993. They can't do what Stanhope does in 2007. Why are they very different but very alike in terms of closing? Bill Hicks, when he's closing, tells you that drugs are a part of nature. And nature has brought drugs to it. And if God has created the world, why are drugs devout? And then he does an act out, which is fairly extensive. And I have shown that act out for many times to an audience, which is not a comedy audience, but an audience which is finally going to have a job at Cisco or L&T. And they have thought that this is a very long act out. But for me, it's beautiful because of the experience. What he has experienced, I have experienced it. And I have felt similar to what he is trying to tell us. I've had a similar experience. He must have not nailed the act out for 99.9% of the audience. But that 0.1% that would have a poster of Bill Hicks in their house, he has nailed it. And the command that he has to come and give you a point to what he's trying to do throughout 65 minutes while making no jokes, exploring space and the beyond, no one but Hicks could do it. At the age of 32, the brightest star that could have ever shined for comedy, that was Bill Hicks closing one of his greatest specials in 1993. I want to talk about Doug Stanhope's closing bit, which is a genius closing bit, because he says that he wants to have the best closing bit any comedian can ever have. And he describes what that closing bit would be by giving you an example of a closing bit at SeaWorld, which was not a comedy closing bit, but it was a closing bit. If a person saw that closing bit, no other closing bit would impress them, because they have seen the ultimate closer. It has live action, drama, death, redemption, justice, all of the virtues that we look for in life to close something. It has all of that organically, not in a fiction way, not in a way where it's been orchestrated. They have that. And hence he feels that he cannot have a closer better than that. But the genius that Stanhope is, what he does in a very smart way while he is almost drunk and his blood alcohol levels are to be in jail, he paints the image of that closing bit in your mind and gives you the exact closing bit with his perspective on that closing bit. So these two closing bits for me summarize everything that I will aim for with my comedy and not succeed because they are unachievable. I think we're almost ready to discuss these two bits by Bill Hicks and Doug Stanhope.
तो दो चीज़ मेरे को बोलना है. पहले तो मैं बिल हिक्स का बहुत बड़ा फ़ैन है और वो पोस्टर मैं लेके जा रहा है, कोई नहीं लेके जा रहा है.
Okay, that's the best way to call dibs. Yeah, please, it's yours. Because you call dibs. I think everyone will be taking the mic to now call dibs on posters. This is a wrong routine started, but yeah. You already are raising your hands for which one? Carlin poster. No. She is... You have been oppressing women for years. At least give them something.
दूसरा मुझे बोलना था कामरा
Yeah.
कि बिल हिक्स का कॉमेडी और
Yeah.
डग का कॉमेडी जब हम देखते हैं
Yeah.
तो मेरी गांड फटती है कि हम लोग अगर यहाँ पे करें तो हम लोग गरीब ना मर जाए, मतलब ऑडियंस पैसा देगा हम लोग को देखने के लिए.
See, that's a very good question for your father to ask about you. It's a very ill-framed question for you to ask about yourself. You are looking at this as a work opportunity. It's not about how you die, poor or rich. It's about how you lived as a comedian. And Bill Hicks died smoking 2 lighters a day, as his joke says. But that's not what we are here to discuss, but the genius of him closing a show the way he did. It's unparalleled, unachievable. You must not even try. Just enjoy it.
I understand when you say that these are unachievable, but what generally is the golden rule? Like for starting bit, you said,
There's no golden rule. I've never used that word.
No, as in, that's my way of putting
Because
the
you
point
value
across.
gold a lot. That's unfair. I've never said golden rule.
As in, okay, I mean, the key guideline from the last session, which was about, opening joke, was get your first
Audience
laugh
to yourself,
as early as possible. So, for the closing bit, what would be something like that? Also, attitude by Tony Allen, comedy at the edge.
You're
Common
taking
Man.
it.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. And that was, forget the question. This was the main point. But yeah, that is. So I'm saying there's no method to having a great closing bit. But I'm just saying that the way the greats of comedy close their set is just so beautiful to watch.
No, I'm probably misunderstood. Not the method, as in what should be the aim? Like aim with the opening bit
Aim,
is?
we are seeing the aim. This is the aim.
No, there it was like very quantifiable what you mentioned. That jaldi se jaldi pehla laugh le lo.
Yeah, but this is not quantifiable.
Okay, fair enough.
Because the end matters thrice as much as the start. Because end is what they go back with. Like, just imagine if we had an audio recorder in every car that went back from this set and went back from Doug Stanhope talking about SeaWorld, the conversations that would be on that recorder were priceless because of what they saw, because of what they've experienced, because of what they can't get off their minds. And that is everything a closing bit has to aim towards.
Yeah, so my question is related to something I've experienced in writing sets while ending. Is that if I can't find a really tight ending, I end up relying on callbacks. Is it like you said, if you're depending on a twist at the end of a story, is it weak writing? Like that, is callback if I use it as a backup thing, is it like a weak writing thing, or should I strive to find a better ending?
I think they are in their sets referring to the callback, but not directly because they are geniuses. They wouldn't use the same line, but they are encapsulating everything that they have done till the closing bit into the closing bit without referencing it directly. Doug Stanhope is telling you that he wants to have a closing bit while doing his closing bit, while painting the image of the best closing bit anyone can ever have, while doing that bit with his perspective. So, callback is a very direct tool. This is so indirectly encapsulating everything that they want to get on stage. In case of Stanhope, in case of Hicks, and they do it with such grace that there's nothing more than this that comedy can get to the table, in my opinion, and in most people who know comedy in their opinions also, I hope.
Also, now that I have the mic, I'll continue the tradition. Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Fight me over it.
Sure. But by the end of it, I have got so much stuff here and so many books here, and I've given you all a notepad, and every book on the table is also up for grabs. Please make sure that without a riot, everything is cleared from here. Because I'm moving my house, I don't need any of this. This helped me a lot when I was trying to be inspired. Now I'm inspired enough. Now I have different photos in my house. I was creatively inspired by these. Now I want to be commercially inspired, so I have Atul Khatri, I have Sapan Verma, I have Tanmay Bhatt. Like, now I'm on a different. Because creatively, inspiration is over. Can't be inspired further. I think it's done. Now, commercially, I have to also figure out, like as your father would wonder. बेटा हो क्या रहा है? ये सब कहाँ जा रहा है? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Richard Pratt is mine.
That's all. Guys, let me just establish it is pay what you like. Looking at the enthusiasm, I don't think anybody is going to pay because... Do an auction. Not at all. Do an auction. What part of my personality told you that I would be auctioning? The new posters of Tanmay Bhatt, Atul Khatri and... that I'll be auctioning out. It'll be like a Van Gogh painting, right? The popular kids, yeah.
They all end up in a good message, right? Be better human beings. Through the closure, through their stories. Do comedians have a moral responsibility to actually put that in your head at the end of the day? Also, I call dibs on your shirt.
You will exchange your shirt with me, that means. Because I can't go home without a shirt. I wish I was Kenny Sebastian, but I'm not. I have to wear clothes. And clothes are required for the well-being of society. So, no. We'll exchange the t-shirts. I'll wear yours, you take mine. That's not an issue, but I wish I was not so kind because I was kind with what I got. Now you all want what I'm wearing also. I don't know where this is going to go, but coming back to the question, does a comedian have a moral conscience? I think every individual has a moral conscience. And if you pursue comedy the way religious people pursue religion, you would not have that question at all. Because you are pursuing it with so much passion that you will develop a backbone, you will have some moral conscience. If you even step out of that conscience, you'll have some sort of justification for it. And it is not necessary for everybody, but somebody who is following comedy, like this is all that they want to do and this is all that they love to do, they would have these guidelines and they would have some principle settings. So I don't think the question is how passionate are you about comedy and not anything else.
So what I feel is social message, या फिर as you said moral conscience wala comedy, is that the only way? Or if you're scared, for example, of touching some topics which might land you in trouble, but you are moral in a way that I'll be as entertaining as I can and give people their money's worth. मतलब मैं 300 चार्ज कर रहा हूँ तो मैं मेक श्योर करूँगा कि इतना मेहनत करूँ कि I give them 400 rupees का worth. But I'll not touch controversial topics because I don't want to put myself on the line. So is that also a way to be moral rather than just being activist sort of?
If I don't disagree with that sort of approach. I would not say that your job is not to get people's money worth. But how are you so sure that you being in the safe guidelines of what people's opinions are is what is getting their money worth? That's an assumption of the crowd that's come out to see you. So if the crowd that has come out to see you expects you to address some sort of dilemma that they are in, and if you have some perspective towards it, why must you not? And I'm not saying you should, but I'm also not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that you should decide for yourself. And you should be able to decide for yourself. And I feel that when it is about closing a bit. I'm not saying that because these guys are socio-politically. Stanhope's bit was not socio-political in any way. He's not the guy who's like, hey, I'm all about saving animals and whales should have their rights. Not at all. He's just telling you what a closing bit in terms of comedy should be like. So I totally feel that that's not a moral high ground. But at the same time, you should judge your audience and you should decide what is best for them and you should give them a good show as a comedian that goes, that's regardless. But at the same time, don't curb something which is an element of your personality just so that you give them 400 when they've paid 300. Because there's no quantifiable measure to figure out if you've given them 400 or 300. It's just them saying maja aa gaya. So that is not something that we can be like, oh, it's 300. Now they've got worth of 400. We are not writing jokes on calculators. We don't know if they've got their money's worth. We just have to make sure that we are honest to our own selves while we communicate with people. Because I think there are a lot of weapons of mass destruction. And there are very few weapons of mass creations. And one of them is you speaking into a microphone. So let's not take it lightly. But at the same time, let's not take it so seriously that that becomes our entire identity. Okay, the questions that people have had. Are multiple premises a waste of a joke opportunity? Jokes are not opportunities. Jokes are something that you want to tell. It is not an opportunity. Multiple premises are multiple jokes. So nothing is wasted if you use that premise to crack a joke. Multiple premises, not an issue. Just use it to crack a joke. But if you have a premise, make sure you have a joke. If you have a premise and no joke, that means you will be transitioning into nothing. So multiple premise, a waste joke opportunity? No. If you have a joke, have the premise. That's about it. If you don't have a joke, drop the premise. It's as simple. Can we explore one premise in different sets? Yes, you can. You can explore one premise in different sets. But the sets have to in some way align with the premise. If they are not aligning with the premise, you are not using the premise, you are just abusing it. So just don't do that. Does language matter in economy of words? Can we swap between languages to minimize words? This is a great question because you can swap languages to minimize words. For example, if I start with, you guys fucking go to Dubai Mall. Have you guys seen that mall in Dubai? Have you guys seen it? A glass breaks in the venue and everybody's attention goes back. I have to set up the premise again. I will do it in Hindi. Dubai kitne log gaye hain yahan pe? That is how you repeat the same thing while you don't make the audience feel like you're repeating it. Does your premise have to be universal for maximum impact? Your premise has to be attached to your worldview, to yourself, to something that you have observed, and everything that you have observed has individualistic values towards yourself will have a universal appeal. Is being topical better than an invisible premise? You can't compare the two. You can not compare two premises. An invisible premise is not better than a topical premise. A topical joke may be better than an invisible premise joke. An invisible premise joke may be better than a topical joke, but never compared to premises. Premises are never at fault. The joke is what matters. How much of your perspective needs to rely on stereotypes in the beginning? None. Stereotypes are what people already know. We have to get them out of it and not give them more perspective onto how to stereotype. Is introducing your character through jokes a good idea? Yes, that's the only way you can do it. You can't do it with a visiting card. So what choice do you have but jokes? Bill Burr's theatrics make the helicopter bit funny. How theatrical should we try to be? How theatrical you should try to be? How theatrical you should appease to be to an audience depends on how much of theater your joke needs, how much of act out your joke needs, how much value does your eventual punchline have. That is determining how theatrical you should be. I've seen Bill Burr move a little more less on another more premises and another more joke and many other sets. But having said that, in the Bill Burr helicopter bit, he moves a lot and he is kind of doing a lot more than what you usually see because the premise desires it and the premise is designed for him to act out. Do we need to be empathetic to walk the line? Can't we be rude personalities? Yes, you can be what you are. If you are a rude personality, be it. If you are empathetic, be that. But be what you are. Don't be rude for the sake of being rude. This is not a dating relationship you are on. Because in a dating relationship, you mostly pay with your time, effort, money, and nobody responds. Now, people have given you your time, effort, their time, their effort, their money. So, take a pick. How do you find balance between punchlines and stories? I think engagement of the audience, that's the only thing you can decide. How important it is to make a story relatable. If the story has happened to you, if they can relate to you, they can relate to the story. When it comes to walking the line, should there be a line in comedy? There has to be no line in comedy. Not at all. And defending a joke is not defending a joke you laugh on, not defending a joke you like. It's probably defending a joke you don't agree with. That's mostly the problem in my life. I have to defend jokes I don't find funny. Do you think the Indian audience wants to explore the line? I don't think the Indian audience is there to explore. They are there to have a good time. All of the line and what you need to explore is your prerogative. The Indian audience is there. Thanks to our population, somebody would turn up. We should be respectful to those people who come and explore whatever the fuck we want. Do we need to pick a genre as a comedian or can we be a mixtape? Radiohead spoke this, Doug Stanhope said this. We cannot categorize anything into genres. Genres are restrictive. Genres are for a comedian as religion is for a free-spirited man. They curtail your whole existence in some way, and hence genres is not a good idea. When someone says to me that I am a political comedian, I look at them like, that's all you understood? How to tell a joke if it's funny or offensive? People will do that for you. No. Can we talk about religion in India eventually? There is no eventually, there is today. Can you talk about religion today? If the answer is no, then the eventuality also is no. If the answer is yes, then why wait for eventually? According to you, what is the best way to end a set? On a high. Nothing better than that. Nothing. Is there a graceful way of punching down? Yeah, in your house, in public surroundings, in parks, in restaurants, when you are rude to managers, waiters, when you are upset at the valet. Yeah, there is a graceful way. Where you are upset at flight attendants, yeah, there is so graceful way of punching down. I'm customer, I'm always right. The most graceful way of punching down is that line. But not in comedy. You can't do that. You would be not liked by people. It's not like they don't punch down, but they don't want to know that you are like them. Punching down. You said not to put multiple premises on your YouTube channel title. Please elaborate. I think your YouTube channel title, if it has 4 premises of jokes and people are clicking because they relate to that premise, it may be very difficult for them to eventually relate to you. The premises are not you. The jokes are you. And you can't put the jokes because then how would it make sense? My question is, why do you even put the premises? Which language should I do comedy in? The language you know best. Do I need to justify my controversial opinion? Depends on how controversial the opinion is. Do you need to justify your controversial opinion? Not on a 4 a.m. call with your BFF, but if it's a live audience who's paid 800 rupees, you have to justify your existence. Forget your opinion. How to make any story a punching up story. Have laughs at the expense of people who are not usually laughed at. Do you drink before a show to control your nerves? No, I think an audience who comes to my show must drink to control their nerves. My nerves are not a problem. Their nerves, however, need to be little controlled. What were your first jokes? How did they evolve? They didn't evolve, they were dropped. Just like your first love. It never works out. They are dropped. And you notice their trajectory and you are almost happy that you dropped. So that is my relationship with my first joke. How has the comedy scene changed since you started? It has changed. It has changed. 8 years back when I told someone I'm pursuing stand-up comedy, they looked at me like, how you would look at an animal in a zoo. Now they look at me like how an animal would be before they got into the zoo. Because when the comedy scene has become the industry, so it's not a comedy scene anymore, it's the comedy industry. If I've never written a joke, how should I start? By writing one. There is no other way to start. Who is the future of comedy in India? Comedy is the future for a lot of people. There is no one messiah and there is no one person who will be the future of comedy. If that is where we are down to, that would be very depressing. Nobody represents the art form. The art form represents a lot of people. Do I need to be in Mumbai to be able to be in the scene? That's a good question. I know a lot of people who are outside Mumbai and still a part of the scene. And I know a lot more people who are in Mumbai and have nothing to do with the scene. So this is to do with a personal struggle that you have. If you are born in Mumbai, you are blessed to not pay rent or exploit your father or whatever. But if you are born outside Mumbai, I acknowledge there is a lot of struggle. But the internet is the leveler. The front camera of your phone is the equality that kind of makes you equal to a person who's born and brought up in Bombay. Let's not forget that. Do I need to, if your audience likes jokes that punch down, how do you turn that around? Should you stick to it? If your audience likes jokes that are punching down, then you are not performing to a comedy audience. You are probably performing to religious fundamentalists. So change the audience, I would say. And the audience would eventually change your joke. How do you know your set is ready to be recorded? You never know. You always record and then find out it wasn't ready. When you're telling a story on stage, there will be a lot of silence. So the story be littered with small punchlines, or do you exit with a big punchline? I think don't miss. Here comes the first question. In your story, if there is an opportunity for a small punchline, and anyways, you cannot categorize punchlines as small and big. There is something which is a laugh, a big laugh, and an applause break. And if your story has opportunity of a small laugh, big laugh, applause break, don't miss that opportunity in developing the story. Can you explain misdirection and how to use it? Misdirect people. How to use it? You've been doing it for years. Haven't you not all misdirected someone you all have dated? Are you all asking me how to misdirect? Say you're a vegetarian and have a chicken lollipop at the end of the show. That's misdirection. How to be confident on stage? Any hacks of looking confident? Be yourself, that's confident enough. Looking confident cannot be achieved. You cannot look confident. You can look good, bad, gracious, ugly. plastic yourself, but looking confident. I don't know what confident people look like. Can't paint a picture. Is ending on a callback a strong finish? Depends on how valuable the callback is to the audience sitting then, how much better it is from the joke the callback is from. Is it okay to insult your audience while doing crowd work? I think people who have insulted their family members successfully and had a laugh at them must insult their audience also, because they are good at insulting. But if you haven't managed to insult someone around you well, then it would be very difficult to insult someone who wants to watch you. So if you've not insulted your family members, then how can you insult someone who's bought a ticket and wants to see you? That would be a little rude. If you're comfortable with voice modulation, if you're not comfortable with voice modulation, should you do it? No. You should not do anything that makes you uncomfortable, because whatever makes you uncomfortable will make them more uncomfortable than you. Where do you write your jokes? What is the best place to do it? It's on stage. I write all my jokes on stage, and for me that's the best place to do it, because an audience turns up in hope that I'll crack a joke, and I can totally ruin their expectations, and still there'll be more audiences coming, because people in India cannot make themselves laugh. It should be, I think the Paralympics should have people in India who cannot make themselves laugh, because that is also a disability, I feel. In a country like India, you are really disabled if you cannot make yourself laugh. Can you build your career as a comedian without social media or videos? What is career as a comedian mean to you? It would depend on that. But my broad answer to that question would be no. Should you approach storytelling from a sketch writer's perspective? If you've never done storytelling before, 100% you should. If you want a perspective that's not been done in storytelling, yeah, a sketch writer's perspective is not a bad idea at all. If there is no ecosystem in regional stand-up, how do you take the first step into making that ecosystem? By talking to your people in the language that they most prefer. If you do that, you are building the ecosystem. And when you are building the ecosystem, it has to build. Because language is what the country was divided on. We were divided all on linguistic basis. Linguistic basis is what our divide is about. So why should there not be local comedy? And anybody who feels that their first language is a language that is local to people of a state or a city, they must communicate in that language, because jokes are best delivered in the way they are thought, and they are always thought in your first language. Okay. Does it make sense to have a guide mentor as a comedian? Yeah. Except for... Actually, no. I was going to say except for Karunesh Talwar, yeah. But I'm going to take back. I think, does it make sense to have a guide or a mentor as a comedian? Not at all. It doesn't... I have very few friends in comedy, as you all must have noticed. But I don't think you need a guide or a mentor. You, of course, need people who inspire you, people who you look up to, people whose craft you aspire to. They may not be your guide or mentors, because it is against their interest, and this is such an individualistic art form. You are an individual. There's just one mic in front of you, and you are talking to people who have come to hear you. Only you. There's nobody else on stage. It is so individualistic. Why must you cloud your judgment with a mentor or a guide? You don't really need it. Comedy audiences need a guide to what is funny, but we can't help that, can we? Are there exercises to develop a unique, nuanced point of view? No. Have a point of view. That's exercise enough. Most people in India don't even have a point of view. If you have a point of view, nuance will come. But you can't have a nuanced point of view. Your point of view has to exist first. People will add nuance across many house parties because they are free, you are free. But for that, you will need to have a point of view. Should you write a live show differently from a YouTube show? If it works live, it's going to work on YouTube. If it works on YouTube, there's no guarantee of it working live. Those two are different devices. And you choose if you are a content creator or a stand-up comedian. Am I more likely to succeed abroad as opposed to in India? Everybody in this country of 1.3 billion is likely to succeed abroad far more than they would succeed in India. That is why Hindus have more than one life. Because in one life, leaving the country is very tough. Are you a disciplined writer? No, I am not a disciplined writer. My discipline is not what gets me so far. I am a disciplined consumer. I consume with fierce discipline. Right, maybe not. But I consume with a lot of discipline. And I consume a lot of comedians, see a lot of them. And I consume with discipline, and maybe that's what helps me to not have a disciplined writing. But no discipline is wrong. So you must have a discipline. I'm not against you having a discipline. If my premise is almost similar to another comedian's premise, should I still use it? What's the ethical thing to do it? Yeah, I was in this at once. We had a comedy club in Lower Parel. There were 2 comedians leaving with me from that comedy club. One comedian said, "You are taking my joke." That comedian said, "Why? How?" He said, "My joke is, Dadar is the Tushar Kapoor of stations." And the other comedian said, no, my joke is different. My joke is Tushar Kapoor is the actor, if Dadar would be an actor. And I was in that train and I stay at Dadar. So I said, Dadar aa gaya, main ja raha hu. So my whole thing is, if plagiarism is a thing of the mind, if you can write one good joke, you can write many good jokes. And those jokes would be stolen. And that's fine, because copyright is an overrated exercise anyway. Everybody is copyleft usually. And if someone takes your joke, write a better joke that they can't take. Is stand-up akin to an argument? Sorry, I didn't understand that joke. Akin. Okay, Sam is similar to an argument. Not at all. Not. Argument gets violent. Argument upsets people. Stand-up is almost against an argument. I'm here to not argue. Stand-up is a discussion. If you do it as an argument, you have a chance to lose. If you do it as a discussion, then you have a chance to explore. Discussions. I had an argument with that person. It went so sour, I blocked them on WhatsApp. Very logical outcome. I had a discussion with the person. He was so strong coming that I blocked. That never happens. Stand-up is a discussion, not an argument. Are there no's in comedy? There are. It's called don't crack a joke that doesn't make people laugh. Apart from that, there is no in comedy. Is it necessary to be an extremely confident, super genius and well-read person to be a stand-up comedian? Not at all. It's not necessary to be extremely confident, super genius and well-read to be a stand-up comedian. It's very important to make someone who's extremely confident, a super genius and a well-read person laugh. It's important. That's what's important to be the stand-up comedian. This is my last question. You guys have been a fabulous crowd. Thank you so much. This is officially the end of the workshop, and it's okay. It wasn't that good. I have shot it. So yeah, I'll put it up on YouTube for people who couldn't come here today because of various reasons. I'm so glad that you guys made it. And your opening joke and your closing premise is all with your name. And we are going to take some time to analyze it personally and send you an email about your opening joke and closing premise. On that note, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been fantastic. All the frames are there for you to take. All the books are there for you to take. The notepads are yours. There are more things at the back also that you can figure out to take, which we didn't put up. But yeah, it's all yours. Have a good time. It's pay what you like, but that also means that you have an option of not paying. So please feel free. Enjoy yourselves. And let's give a huge round of applause for the Above the Habitat and their team for managing this. A huge round of applause for you guys for coming out. And yeah, through the next 31 days, every day, one of you all will get an email about your opening joke and your closing premise. And I'm going to look at it in a very comprehensive way and tell you what I feel about it. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for all the comics you guys saw on the screen. Let's all remember that one thing that is written: while you laugh, you cannot be in the past or the future. You can only be here. That's most important. Thank you for being here. Good night.
मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सिर्फ एक ही प्रार्थना में ध्यान लगाएं, और वो है हंसी। क्योंकि जब आप हंस रहे होते हैं तब आप प्रेजेंट मोमेंट में होते हैं। आप फ्यूचर में जाकर नहीं हंस सकते और आप पास्ट में जाकर नहीं हंस सकते।